afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Mack. Everybody, welcome to the Mother's Board Inc. On this Friday, what is this, the 6th?
Good afternoon, Pastor Shirley, and we're glad to be with you. I just turned up the microphone.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
this is 6th day of May, right? I think it's the
Yes, tomorrow is
6th
June
day of
7th.
May on Friday. And we are so happy to be here. Dear God, as we sit before you to speak, we pray to you that our souls you will keep. And if we should die before we finish, we pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. And so we have a wonderful, wonderful uh, topic smorgasbord here today. And we have some things in audience wherever you are. You can chime in through messages. So we're happy for you to join in and give us your thoughts on these topics, Dr. Mack.
Oh, we are very happy to have you with us today, and we are going to share our points of views with you. And the one thing that we're always going to encourage you to do is to follow up. Our idea is basically to plant the seeds and nourish the seeds. And we ask that you nourish the seeds of wisdom and that you and all of us can harvest them. But what we have to do first is to look at it, acknowledge that it's there, and start some kind of thinking process going on.
Right.
That's what our task is today.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And we will go with the topic suggestion number one. In your opinion, what were the reasons the chief administrator issued an updated travel ban, which included some temporary restrictions for certain countries? And this happened on Wednesday of this week. So, Dr. Mack, would you start out, please?
Oh, you want me to start at? I
Mhm.
don't know what happened. I was watching TV, and before the 10 o'clock news came on, we had a new travel ban and we had new restrictions on other countries. But I do know we went through this during Trump point one, or 1 point Trump, however you want to say it. We went through it with that, and we had one earlier this year where people were,
Mhm.
encouraged not to go, and people were not going to be allowed to come in from those countries. But now we get 12 Pacific countries, and they're in that southern hemisphere kind of thing almost. Um, and they're like countries that don't make the news. So,
Right.
is there some national stuff going on that's not being said? But, Haiti is right there, and then that was one of the ones that we have Cuba on it. I can understand all that, but you're also looking at the World Cup that brings a lot of money into the United States. All these major sporting activities, and you're looking at the 2028 Olympics, you know, and it just come on, why is there a travel ban? You're not saying you say about everything else. You have something to say. These are supposedly security concerns that have been raised in Togo. Most of us don't even know where Togo is. And I'm not even sure Chad is in Africa, but I think it is, you know. So what's going on here? Something I like what you always say, Pastor
Mhm.
Shirley, and I always repeat what you say. Maybe it's one of those I want you to look over here while something else is going on over there situations. You've
Okay.
mentioned that before,
Mhm.
but come on, and other persons who are in the know are saying, okay, um, what is he doing and why is he doing it?
Mhm. Well, it's a distraction as usual because most of this that's my point of view on it because all of this is happening with and
It's okay, Fresh. It's okay.
Elon Musk, and so
Yes.
they have to develop and start something to try to get our minds off of that. But we know what they're doing. So anyway, but these countries, there are 12 of them, as you stated.
Yes.
I understand. Myanmar, Chad,
Yeah,
Republic of the Congo,
yeah.
Equatorial Guinea,
Okay.
what's that? Eritrea, Haiti,
Yes.
Iran, Libya,
Mm-hmm.
Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen.
Mm-hmm. Notice
Those,
most
just
minority of countries
of
too.
course, of course. And so I believe it's another distraction, another thing, and then it's just a power play trying to show power and everything. But I believe it's a distraction because this other is getting too much attention. And then another thing, I want people to remember now. Now they're saying that he put him out of the position. That's what some news people are saying, that he told him, he had to give up the position. But we have to understand now, the fact is, according to all of the reliable sources, is that he had 130 days.
That's it. And I keep
And
smiling.
then,
Forgive me for the interruption, but I
no,
smile.
that's
I say,
okay.
Pastor Shirley and I knew that because we
Yes,
had talked about it. You can
yes,
only
ma'am, more
say
than once. Yes, he had his
one.
time was up. And that's
It was
why he
up.
gave, what was the key to? The city or the White House or what?
I
What was
don't know.
that?
Don't know.
But
I
then,
guess I don't think they said. They just said a golden key.
because I saw a clip, but I didn't finish watching the clip where he had given him the key. But then, one thing about it, if you don't agree with him, the stuff is going to start flying. Whatever it is, nails, shrapnel, whatever. If you don't agree with him, he is going to get upset. And so when this guy said that this can this bill be big and beautiful at the same time, and then he did disagree because he said, now he had me there and he let me do all of these cuts, all these, and he didn't say it like this, but we all know that these people lost their jobs, all these cuts, all this happened. He had that guy to do it, and then went back and then added more money,
Yes.
more
Yes.
debt on us. And so
Not
this
just a little
is
bit, but 2.4.
even more, even
Right.
more. Yes.
And
And so that's
I
go
thought
ahead.
about that too. You said exactly what I thought.
Uh-huh.
Walking in my head again. You brought me in. Well, first of all, you agreed with me. We made a pact that I was going to
Right.
go in and do all this cutting, and then he called it an abomination. That just and he went back to the days of John McCain and called it just filled with pork. And we both know, that term, that political term. But you had me do this. But
Exactly.
and here, this is where we get in trouble with buying. Well, not buying, but having donors give you so much money. When donors give you money, they expect something. Well, you have the administrator coming out saying, "Well, it was because of the EV situation with the Tesla cars
Yeah.
coming out in the
Yeah.
future." But he took money from these other millionaires and semi-billionaires or whatever, and they had things that they wanted too.
And
So
they're getting them. Everybody paid for what they want, and he's going to do his best to fulfill that debt. He's going to pay that debt to those people. He paid
and
it to the Chrisleys. He paid it to this other man, somebody else whose mother got out because she attended that $1 million fundraiser and different
yes,
stuff. Whatever they paid for, he's planning to give that to them. He's obligated. And this morning, this going into one of my observations. This morning on Good Morning America, George Stephanopoulos said that they both have leverage on each other.
yes, they do.
Man,
Remember how close they were? You
yeah,
know, I mean, you gotta remember. I mean, he was paying 2,000 a night, $2,000 a night to stay at Mar-a-Lago. it is reported that that's what he paid so that he could be close to the president. He made all the campaign trips and made all the speeches and put money. Now they're afraid he may turn and put money in the Democrats to defeat the Republicans in the midterm.
Well, he's already started running his mouth, and I've been saying it ever since that election. And it really was an election because they stole, they
I
really
know, I
did
know.
that.
Yeah,
But hey, he paid the man to do it, and he came out and said he didn't say you paid me, but
yeah.
he said if it were not for me,
You would not.
that would not be where you are. And that little
You know,
boy told him if if they didn't do a voice,
and and this is one of those situations where it just goes on and on. You
Yeah.
know, you just I know this about you. He comes up and says, "Well, he's on the Epstein list." Well, actually, that's not news to me because I knew he was because it won't be released not until after his death.
mm-hmm.
That there's some things we just don't do. How do you say it? You can't have that kind of information out on a sitting president, someone who's in office. Yeah. And he's saying, like, impeach him, you know?
They say he said it, didn't he?
Yeah. But then you got Steve Bannon says, we're going to take care of you. We're going to war, and
Yeah.
Stephen Miller's wife going to work for him, for Musk. So it sounds like it's just a messy mess. Is what it
Well,
sounds like.
and people said it anyway before it even started. They knew that this wasn't going to last long. As long as
Oh
that man
no.
got what he wanted, he's okay. But then he had to fulfill that obligation of telling him, "You have what is it, carte blanche in the
Right.
White House for 130 days. And you can do what you want to do." And that's what the man did. And then came along, and when he did, I guess he thought he was helping. And then he comes along, and the guy makes everything that he did just about null and void
Yeah,
by adding more
absolutely.
money.
Well, and it's some of the money is really directed to those rich people who already have money. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not of the belief that you're going to get extra money because of what happened. How can it's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. How you going to get this money and you're taking it away from these people? And in many cases, you have to rehire them because they know how to do the job. You
Right.
know, you can't. What's it? I think my son talks about it. You have a logarithm sort of situation going on. You
Uh-huh.
can't. I don't think AI is ready to say, well, you just cut all these people. Actually using artificial intelligence. But see, you still going. I think on the last day of the world, there's going to have to be a human being somewhere in the mix.
There
You can't.
always has to be.
You can't have artificial intelligence running everything. And for Mr. Musk, it worked well because he's in that industry. But you bring him
Hmm.
over here where the industry is nothing but human beings, I don't think that works well because people have lost jobs who've been there a long time, and not only did they work, but they worked for the pride of working. You're saying that counts for nothing.
Well, he wanted him to do it, and he did it. And now the stuff is flying everywhere.
Unreal.
Yeah, and he wanted to tell it all. And now they're talking about they think he wants to make peace or whatever. But anyway, that's you know what? That's those people. They're gonna keep something going. I don't care how long the world lasts. So just like I said, we're covered. We don't have to worry about that that
No.
mess affecting us. Thanks be to God.
Well, I think it will because I think just looking at the personalities of both persons and everybody does they stood back and wondered how long it would last, and it
Mhm.
it did last 130 days that it was supposed to last.
Mm-hmm.
And some things that were desired were accomplished on both parts, but the ideology is not the same. At one point yesterday, he was calling for the impeachment of the president. And,
Right.
and, and I'm like, come on, bro. But he knows where the bodies have been.
Exactly. That's why George Stephanopoulos said, "Stop it." Stephanopoulos said this morning said they have a lot of leverage on each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
It made, I don't, tell me, Pastor Shirley, why is it when you do bad things in public, it's supposed to not appear to be as bad? Because we did this big ceremony in the key in the Oval Office to send him off, that was publicly done. And in
Uh-huh.
less than a day, less than a day, when he said that big, beautiful bill was an abomination, we are at war.
And he
But
said that before he gave him the key.
I don't think the person given the key knew that. I really
Well, it was
don't.
all on the news. He
Yeah,
had to know it. Yes, he had
yeah,
to
and
know it.
he
Uh-huh.
used
He,
to watch.
yeah, but anyway, oh yes. So I'm like somebody said, I'm going to see how this is going to play out. It's going to be hot until the next thing comes along, and that'll be another day or so.
I don't think this going to go away right away because Trump threatened to pull. Excuse me, President threatened to pull the contracts of SpaceX.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, when you start that kind of thing, and he has so many government contracts, you
yeah,
know, once he's in there, and the contracts, then it's an interdependence at least at most because you need him to get the stuff up in space. You actually need his SpaceX and his other thing that he has, Starliner.
yes.
You
Because at
know,
first he said that they say that he said that he was going to start weaning off of that project, and then they came back and said he said, well, he won't right now. So we don't know what, but we know there is it's partially a distraction, and there are so many things going on. These people, what do you say? This is rich people stuff.
yeah, well, that's what
But they're
I agree.
trying to messing with our other people's finances. Thank God we're not affected, but some people are greatly affected by the shenanigans that they pulled.
Well, they're recently come out in the last day or two, but they're not really sure what Doge did.
Uh huh.
They're not really sure of the damage that it really has been done.
Right. Yes, because
And
it takes a while for the figures or the real what is the real money to catch up with the figures.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So it's something else. It's something else. But let me tell you, they said in the beginning that this a relationship wouldn't
Well,
last.
not that. Well, when you
Right.
get, it's like two people who are definitely alike being married. Eventually, they tire of each other's alikeness. They do. They want somebody to argue or somebody to disagree with them. But in this case, I think that co-president Town and the little cartoon of Musk sitting behind the desk in the Oval Office. You see, that kind of, if you got an ego the size of the known galaxy, that doesn't work for you. That's my desk. That's my space. You cannot,
That little boy said it's not.
And yeah, that boy may have been speaking the truth,
And
but
he said, "You're not the president. Go away." And
but
anyway,
anyway,
they're giving us some good old entertainment. That's for
well,
real.
the thing is, it'll wind up whether it's the average person will be hurt by it because they'll find some way to mend the fences and go on, even though they
Mhm.
may hate each other. But they'll find some way to work it out and blame the just the normal average Joe trying to go from day to day.
And we don't know whether they might be somewhere having lunch or something, laughing and talking.
Right.
We don't know.
And that's why I was asking you, when did it become okay if you do bad stuff in public and just get away with it? Because
Uh-huh.
everything that's being done now is in plain sight. You know,
Yep.
I think that's that mentality that, well, I did it, everybody, yeah, everybody saw it, and nobody
Hmm.
stopped me, kind of thing. Come on, that's mob mentality. That's not regular person intelligence.
But didn't they say his dad was a mobster or something like that? Not Musk, but
Oh, I
uh,
know the other one. The
hmm
other, yeah. Well, there were ties. Let's say it like that.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Construction has always construction business has always been reputed to do some shady stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Hmm. Well, there's
yeah.
so much going on. And your next uh so we'll just keep on watching. And I don't watch too much of it because I don't let it get down off in, like
No,
people say, in my spirit. I'm not gonna have
yeah,
I'm not
I
gonna
didn't.
let that keep me from living my life because it is just something all the time. And some people thrive on that. That's why they're having so many mental breakdowns and all of that. Poor people don't know what to do, what to expect, or anything like that. So it's a terrible situation, but we are all right.
We're gonna stay with the word.
Oh yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Not letting it, now next you were talking about the tray bill.
Oh yeah, the
Mhm.
young the this is in the well, I think there
Praise
was one.
bill.
Yeah, there was one in there about no, Michael Cohen, who
Uh-huh.
predicted this.
Right,
And
I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, and that had, and you know what, his was a very simple answer. And one, Michael Cohen said the relationship would not exist between those two people that we just finished talking about,
Uh-huh.
because one, the one who doesn't have as much money as the other will eventually, his ego was going to interact in some way,
Mhm.
because that made him the richest man in the world.
Mhm.
In his sphere, he has to be the one without that much money. He needs to be the richest man in the world.
Mhm.
And that was Cohen's reasoning. You know,
Mhm.
he says that's why we have the bitcoins and all this stuff, going on, and the selling of the image and all that. He said that person, because he was with him a long time. He says that person cannot stand not being number one in anything. So
Mhm.
that
Right.
situation had to dissolve itself.
Yes, and it hasn't quite dissolved because he still owes that man about, well, and this morning I heard them say he spent 200, was it 200 million, 200 billion.
Oh
And
yeah.
then today they said 2 today, but they've been saying 300, so whichever, he owes that plus about 80 more, whatever, because that guy he still owes that man some money back.
I think the
So,
guy's gonna collect the favors.
oh,
I
he
don't,
is
I don't, I don't think
definitely.
he wants the money, you know.
No, and I'm not talking about collecting the money. I'm talking about he owes that guy whatever he agreed to when he
Oh,
when he donated that money.
wow. I
And so
think I
what?
would have been suspicious of the donation. I really do, because
Well,
that.
he wasn't suspicious because he wanted it. He wanted it. He brought that man on board, and he accepted everything. And he accepted everything the man said. They're in agreement with everything. So, hey, how can he suspicious? Shoot, he didn't care because
Yeah.
he knew that he was going to have to pay these people back, him back in favors, just like he's doing all these other people, all these people who, if on average, if it had been an average person that was in jail for the things that these people did, they would not get a break. They probably wouldn't let them out for special occasions, like, for a
Yep.
family crisis or something like that.
Yeah, I
That
thought
never
about.
would have happened. Never would have happened. But when you put out, they say, money talks.
Yes.
Was Yes, ma'am. Money talks.
Yeah.
So that was talking about Cohen, Michael Cohen, the
Yes.
split between them, and then we
Yeah.
go to number 4. Do you believe the trades bill? So I'll ask you to talk about the trades bill because I haven't
Well,
gotten to that.
I don't have the proper name for it, but it was covered on NBC yesterday. It's been being covered. It's about the high school, the young black boy who graduated from high school in
Okay.
Downville. You remember hearing about that? And he never made it home the next day because
Okay.
they found out in the investigation that he and his friends were underage, but they were able to get liquor, you know,
Okay.
and that caused the death. But they made it went through, and I saw Senator Royce West. I saw a
Uh-huh.
clip of him introducing the young man's mother, and I saw
Okay.
an interview of her at Duncanville Stadium because she's saying what happened to her son. She doesn't want these persons who sell alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
alcoholic beverages.
Mm-hmm.
If it should be a crime when you don't check ID and you sell it anyway, and the young person winds up dead.
It is a
So
crime already. So
it is
did
a crime, but
so
they're
who
not doing it. I mean, that they definitely didn't do it in that case.
well many have been looking the other way to get that money for years. For
Okay,
years and years, they've been selling to
okay.
these underage children. Was it an underage child that bought the liquor, or do they know that? They bought
Well,
whatever they
yeah,
consumed.
it wasn't. Normally, he said, but they can usually find an adult to go in and get it.
Right.
But I believe this was an underage child that went in. I was
Oh,
going
that
to
they
pull
let.
out,
Okay.
you know, and I admire that mom so much because it started as her tragedy, but for her to just open up and say, I don't want any mother or grandmother, or anyone to go
Right.
through what I'm going through.
Right.
And ironically, it shouldn't, as you said, it shouldn't have. It's a situation that should not have occurred. Why do we have to make everything a law, and then we have people going to spend 50% of their time trying to figure out how to break the law once it becomes the law? But I just thought it was. This is graduation season, and it's just one of those things you want to say to the kid. Well, don't do this. Come on home, go to the party, whatever.
Exactly. And the average parent talks to their child and they give them the rules, and the children have been hearing them not just on prom night, not just on graduation night. These children have heard this just about all their
All
life.
their lives,
Uh-huh.
all
And it
their
only takes one influence what influence per, one person to influence you to go against the rules of the parents. Don't we know? Now you might have been a perfect young lady,
no Lord, no Lord.
but
let me
oh, what do you say,
let
Lan?
me let me just say
Lan,
it this way. I
Lan said
stand.
she knows she wasn't.
No,
Lan,
no.
Lan, Lan is over here listening to us.
Nope.
Listening. She said she was. So, hey, I know I
Hey,
was.
I don't know one who was, but
So
you're
we
right.
know how that goes, but it only takes a fraction of a second, and everything is turned upside down forever.
Yeah, and there's no going back.
No
And
going back
we're
on that.
seeing so many of these mothers, whether it's whatever drugs, whether it's alcohol or whatever it is, we're
Yes.
seeing so many of them standing up and saying, "Okay, I want something done, and I'm going to have something done."
Right. Right.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, and we put the responsibility on the children. We tell them just like mom and daddy told us.
yes.
Okay, you know
Okay.
how to act, and we've told you how to act, what to do. You know how to act. It's up to you. And
Yeah.
if you don't obey the rules and the regulations, you're gonna get it when you get home. But anyway, I know I wasn't perfect. Oh, okay, joking now. So anyway, hopefully they'll get it. So they're still in session. I thought they had only
No,
2 days.
no, it's over. It's
I
over.
thought
And
so.
so,
Yeah.
so far, there has not been Governor Abbott had a certain number of days to sign the bills that he didn't get signed
Right. Right.
into law. And
Yes.
he and there are, I was looking at some of the ones that didn't make it to law into
Uh-huh.
law last night.
Yes.
Um, and he's probably gonna let some of those die on his desk. He's not gonna make that decision. Not,
Yeah.
they bring it back up in the next session.
The next.
Which will be the 90th session of
Okay.
state.
Okay. Well, all right. The trade. So that's what that is. That is
Mm-hmm.
okay. So do you question the fact that the president has said that he is friends with two prominent people from Texas, candidates, uh, two prominent Texas candidates vying for seats in Congress, therefore cannot back either of them. And you know how what I said about
What
that.
did you say, Pastor Shirley?
Whoever wins, it doesn't matter one way or the other to me. Yeah, like I said, Fresh is relaxing. I think he's outside right now. He's not even in that fight.
Well, who we're talking about is John Corn and Ken
Yes,
Paxton. And I'm like,
yes.
Uncle, give me right. You know, because they have raised money for him. And when he was campaigning, he came through here several times and took away millions of dollars. So no wonder he can't, decide which one to go. But he will. You
Man,
know,
I
it,
tell you.
it gets to be really political at
Yes,
the end. And
yes.
John Cohen has been up there forever and a day.
Yes, ma'am. And he still wants to be there. See, these people are so power hungry. They get up there and they just occupy a seat, and just whatever way the wind blows with the greenbacks, that's the way they flow.
And look at Mr. Paxton spent most of what last year being impeached.
Oh,
You know,
yes. And he's
for-
still there. Still there. So, hey,
well, no, he wants to go higher. Bless his
that's what
heart.
I'm saying. He's there for now and he wants to get on up there and get a little more power. But anyway, what is it? Let them have it. Let them have at it. Y'all go right ahead. Oh, you want to say anything else about that?
No,
Okay. What is your opinion of the questions raised by three members of the Dallas City Council regarding uh, voting to approve the funding of building of Dallas practice facility in West Oak Cliff? So they have a problem, huh?
well, they did. And guess what? By the time we got that written, they had approved the bill. The three had pulled back their questions and they're going to fund it. They're going to go
Of
ahead and fund
course,
it. And
of course.
the three who were asking questions, the questions they were asking regarding the architecture and the infrastructure, and all, those are questions that should have been asked before that this even came up. You know,
Right,
yeah, this is the issue is you got to find some place for them before the K. Bailey Hutchinson Center is completed. Um,
right.
you got a
It'll
year
take another
anyway.
year.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's gonna be. But you vote that one. They approved it, and I'm thinking, Pastor Shirley and I talked about this last week. All the
Yes.
economic viabilities thereof.
Right.
And
And it was already approved when we were talking about it.
well, they hadn't approved that extra funding, and I'm thinking, and guess
Past the
what?
$5 million because they
Yeah,
had said that they were going to spend at least $5 million on it. But the thing that really got me that I like about it is because they're going to have some more activities in there, like for the children, for the youth. And
right.
I like that. So it won't
Yeah.
be just for them, just a practice center. If other people will get benefits from it.
Well, think about what's going to happen to the real estate market. What's going to happen to
Oh,
those
yeah.
persons who are going to be putting in restaurants? Those guys have
Oh,
to eat
yeah.
somewhere.
That's right.
And
And they will make some moolah.
yeah, and it's
Hmm.
really a pretty landscaping property over there. It's pretty. Those are actual hills,
Yes.
mountains. They refer to them as mountain
Yes.
area. But
Beautiful surroundings. So, hey, that's good. That's
that's a
good.
positive. That's
I
a positive.
like it because some other people will be getting benefit, the
Yeah,
benefit from it. Uh-huh.
yeah.
All right. So the next is the first prison sentence was handed down for a death caused by the selling and the subsequent death caused by fentanyl. Have you read any information regarding youth crimes related to fentanyl in the southern sector? I don't know what to say.
I haven't. That's
Mm-hmm.
that is one of the reasons I put the question there. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't, and what I would like is, and I hope that someone is doing some
Research.
account, yes,
Mm-hmm.
research, accountability studies, because
Mm-hmm.
what happens is that this the case in Garland, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, we had a case, Farmers Branch, you know, but you don't hear that in this section, and you know
Mm-hmm.
for sure it doesn't get to the Trinity and stop. It
Mm-hmm.
comes on across of what's happening, and we have these summer weeks left. Is anybody doing anything to protect the kids over here? And it
Right.
only takes one pill.
Right. So we don't hear about it, but to me, a drug is a drug. It matters not what the name is. And so if they are on these drugs, whatever the name of that drug is, and they if they commit crimes or whatever, it's all related to me, drug related. I just put it all in the
Okay.
same bag, drug related. But I know they do the studies and everything on the certain types of drugs. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking up fentanyl related drugs crime in the southern sector. So, but we can go on to our next if you want to. Or did you want to say more on
No,
that?
I just
Okay.
want, well, I just want to, first of all, remind people it only takes a one-time situation.
Yes. Yes,
And number
ma'am.
two, that it's not gonna, fentanyl. That was what the whole thing with the border was, Canada and
Mm-hmm.
Mexico. So China sending fentanyl. Okay, is it getting to our kids in the southern sector? And if so, how many deaths have been reported? How many
Mm-hmm.
near deaths have been reported?
Uh
What
huh.
are we doing to stop it?
Right. Okay. Here's something about news about fentanyl related crime in South Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And let's see, there's a man, North Texas man, gets life in First Tarrant County murder trial, conviction under fentanyl law. Hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, they are doing some things about it. Fentanyl murder. And they said Tarrant County. Let's see here. Let me read a little bit about this. Fentanyl murder, Tarrant County. Now they say Tarrant. So is that where
Yeah.
they hit the trial? Because it says in South Dallas, Texas. But anyway,
That
uh,
what you were saying is that South Dallas is not in Tarrant County. It's what
right, exactly. Uh,
right,
but they said a Tarrant County jury sentenced Jacob Lindsay to life in prison
right.
for the 2023 fentanyl overdose death of Brandon Harrison. This is
Yes,
the first murder conviction
yes,
in Tarrant County under a new Texas law targeting deadly fentanyl distribution. And the Tarrant County officials and the victim's family hope the sentence sends a strong message to fentanyl distributors. So that's Tarrant, but it
I
started
think
out
they
as
moved
Dallas.
it. Yeah, I think they did a change of venue.
Okay,
All this
that's what I'm
into
asking about.
in Tarrant County, but
Okay,
it's you hit on the very most important one. It was the first one, and he is getting life.
right,
Yeah,
right.
he is
So
getting
they
life.
want that to be. And let me see if I can get back to. I hope I didn't close out my thing. Oh, here it is. All right, so we got that. Now
Yeah.
we're going to softball. What has been your reaction to the Texas Tech softball superstar? Uh, what is it?
Najeri.
Nigeri candidate
Yeah. Yes.
during season play. Do you know any young girls who play softball? Well, at the present, I don't. I know those who have played, but they're old people now. I don't know any of the young children that play. Do you?
I actually don't, and I don't even know if they still offer it, as a summer recreational activity.
Okay.
I know that it's still offered in the high schools, but I
Right.
don't know if it's offered in the recreational program. But I was just elated. You're just half listening and half watching, and they're talking about the world, the world of college women
Uh,
college sports, and I was like, okay, that name, and I turned, and there was this little beautiful black girl who was so excited,
wow. So
and
she's in
and I
softball at Texas Tech.
yeah,
Hey, all right.
and she holds all the records. And she had a loss, but but and they blamed her for the one loss. But to last night I believe well they're going to play in Oklahoma, and I'm just excited. First of
Uh-huh.
all, hadn't been keeping up, and all of a sudden, wow, here you are. I hope there are others out there. I was horrible at it. I got hit with the
Right.
ball.
Well, I have one in here. I played too. I played softball after I was grown, and then Lan played. She's some kind of catcher. My God,
Wow. Well,
yes. And I played center field. Mm,
uh,
yeah,
I, I don't even remember what I played. I just thought, Lord, let me find something else. This is not working for
I like
me.
center field better, but they many times they had me playing right field, but I like center field. Uh-huh.
But I
So
just hope, how we are always encouraging the
yeah,
younger,
yeah,
ones of us to get out there. If you
right.
haven't played it, try learn it. Who knows? I'm pretty sure this young lady is probably on an athletic scholarship. It didn't say in her bio because
All right.
she's quietly been rising in the ranks, and
Okay.
it just made me happy to see her. You know.
Okay. Yes. Yes. All right. So, do you believe that the governor is in favor of the placing of a copy of the Ten Commandments in each classroom? Is this an issue of the separation of church and state? Well, I don't know whether he's for it or not, but it passed, didn't it?
I think it did.
It
Yeah.
passed. So,
I haven't
yeah.
gone back to take a look at the complete list
Mhm,
of,
mhm.
but Louisiana, and I believe Louisiana, I know Louisiana has, and I believe Oklahoma has, um, but it's being placed in the rooms with the Protestant thrust, and all the children in the room are not Protestant, and even if they are Protestant, they are different
Mhm.
sects or religious beliefs. Um,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I think we should be considerate of everybody,
Right. Right.
and not forced. Go back to the you're not forced to do it if it's against your religion kind of thing.
Right.
But you're gonna have to sit there with that on the wall. There's nothing you can do about it.
Uh-huh.
I
Well,
just think they should have thought it through.
yeah. Well, here's the like was it Joe Bagby or somebody said, well, that old clock on the wall tells me it's time to close out. So we thank everybody for joining us and glad to talk with you today, Dr. Mack. And we had some great discussion here. And so, God willing, everyone will be back on next Friday at 1 p.m. And Dr. Mack has her announcement for Wednesdays.
Well, we invite you to join us Wednesday for the webcast from the Biblical Files of Dr. Mack. We'll be looking at the book of James for women in the Bible and blacks in the Bible. Join us if you join us, please.
All right. And on Saturday evenings at 7:39 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. is Greater Gospel Temple, Church of Praise and Worship, and Inspiration of God Ministries. And on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. and Thursdays is Point of View with Miss Shirley Pope. Thank you, everybody. We love you so much, and we thank you so much for joining us today. And please share this webcast with someone else. All right, Dr. Mack, we'll talk later, God willing.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.